Good morning. My video blog for this week has the title, Paradise Right Now. Really? Question mark, exclamation point. The punctuation is kind of like an emphasis on, is this really a believable thing to talk about now? I mean, granted, you may think it's ridiculous to bring up paradise in a time when there's all sorts of upsetting challenges happening in the world, floods, fires, hurricanes, world leaders challenging each other about nuclear war, and kind of a world out of balance in many ways. But if we think of it more in terms of wounds that need to be healed and brought to the surface, maybe we can just allow that to be whatever it is and go on and look at another possibility or another reality which is happening simultaneously, which is the possibility and the reality of paradise now. And we grow up thinking of paradise as something that happens in another world, afterlife, in another century perhaps. It's the Shangri-La in the Himalayas, this mythic place that doesn't really exist, but it's a nice fantasy. Or we think of the utopian communities in the 19th century, or the Back to the Earth people in the late 1960s. All of these seem unrealistic, far away, far-fetched, or short-lived. And the other thing we think about, and we get from various religions, is that paradise happens after we're dead. It doesn't happen on earth. Paradise and all the things that happen with it, angels and beautiful, perfect times, happen when we die. We can't have it on earth. So we kind of grow up with the idea that paradise now is impossible. And I disagree with that. I think that it is possible, and in fact, it is an important time on Earth where we are evolving into making paradise possible. And we need to frame it in a way that we don't think of it as absolute perfection. Paradise is not perfection. Paradise is just the way you live your life day to day. Do you celebrate being alive, or do you complain about it? Do you bear grudges, or are you grateful? Do you look around and see the miracles, or do you just see the dirt and the things that are not going well in life? It has to do with a frame of reference for all of life and all of living. And if we see the world in terms of beauty, in terms of possibility, then paradise could be right now. Paradise is actually right under our noses. It's in our breath. It's in the breath that comes through our nose, through our mouth. It gives us life. And it's in the eyes of people we love. It's in the miracles of nature all around us. Just this morning, I went out into my garden and I was watering the garden, looking around, and all of a sudden a monarch butterfly flew in and started flying from flower to flower. And this was a small miracle for me. I just stood there and smiled and celebrated this moment of paradise on earth. And you don't have to have a garden. You don't have to have a specific place where the possibility seems greater. You can just walk out into the street, into a very urban area, and look at the sky, because the sky is always changing. The sky is beautiful. The sky is full of clouds that are creating beautiful shapes, and they sometimes are dark if a thunderstorm is coming, or they're light, fluffy clouds, or just the deep blue of the sky at different times of the year. And seasonal changes are even in times of snow or cold or rain. It really is an interesting, fascinating, beautiful place to live, this earth we have. And if we appreciate it, if we look at this place that we live in, this home that we call earth, and appreciate it, that is paradise. And there's a beautiful quote that is one of my favorite quotes from E. E. Cummings that I often say to myself when I go outside, out my back door, and look at the backyard and the flowers blooming and things. It is, and the quote is, "I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees, for the blue true dream of sky, and for everything that is natural, that is infinite, that is yes." And that is it. Yes is paradise. And in spite of all of the challenges that are rising now as a new earth is being born, and as uh, old patterns and old uh, behavior is still prevalent, we can still look around and celebrate the love that is in our hearts. Always. It's always there. And if we focus on that, if we hold that forward, we're experiencing paradise, and we're creating paradise breath by breath, and just through our loving of our fellow human beings. So that's all I have to say this morning about paradise and the possibility that it really is right now. And yes, I would say yes, really, it is. Take care.